During the dead period, Coach Prime just keeps winning. He got the Colorado Buffs another pretty big commitment over Oklahoma and West Virginia. And hey, you're starting to see some similarities to another Pac 12 team from last year, which we'll dive into that here in just a minute. But before we do that, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you all are thinking down in the comments below. So, Coach Prime and Sean Lewis, listen, they have not only been able to get Jimmy Horn from USF in the transfer portal, but they are now officially taking Xavier Weaver from USF as well, who is obviously teammates with Jimmy Horn. And when you look at him as a weapon for Shedeur Sanders, listen, Sanders has an accumulation of talent around him now, including a running back that you guys got out of the transfer portal in Kavase Smoke, who I just think is going to be really good for y'all. So the 6'1", 180-pound wide receiver was a second-team All-AAC selection after catching a career best 53 passes, 718 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And so, taking a look at his stats here, listen, like when you look at what talent he is bringing to this team, again, weapon wise, Sanders is good now. He should have enough weapons around him now to be able to run the Sean Lewis offense. And so in 2021, as you can see here, Weaver caught 41 receptions, 715 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, in his 4-year career, it completely totals for 116 receptions, 1,735 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he has averaged a little over 15 yards a catch. So, the incoming will be senior next year, Xavier Weaver, and I say senior because we got to look at that 2020 class. That 2020 year doesn't necessarily count for a lot of these guys. But if you're Colorado, you got an extremely talented wide receiver out of the transfer portal. And so, talking about earlier, what we're talking about a similarity to a Pac-12 team. We saw something similar to this last year in Southern Cal with first-year USC head coach Lincoln Riley taking his team from a 4-win team to an 11-win team and a New Year's Six Bowl. Now, I am not naive to think that Deion Sanders is going to take the Buffs to 11-win in a New Year's Six Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. But I do look at it and go, if he can take a 1-win team to a 6 or 7-win team and just get the Colorado Buffs bowling, you're pretty much at that point on the same level of success as Lincoln Riley. Now, Lincoln Riley improved that team by 7 wins. 7 wins for the Colorado Buffaloes would be 8. I think that's probably the ceiling. But if I say you walk out of there with 6 or 7 wins, I think that's good enough, at least in the first year. And listen, trying to rebuild a team that had only won 1 game the previous season, that's not easy to do. It's not a small task. It's going to be something that Coach Prime is really going to have to dive into and try to figure out and get creative here. So Riley's first-year success at USC was centered around an incredible offense and, of course, a QB that he had at Oklahoma that he brought over. It's kind of a similar situation with Colorado, right? I understand Shedeur Sanders did not play under the Sean Lewis offense, but what they were doing at Jackson State and what Sean Lewis does, it's very similar. And so you would imagine that the adjustment is not going to be like it is for, I don't know, let's say a Caleb Williams staying at Oklahoma, understanding the Lincoln Riley's offense, and then learning to have a complicated Jeff Lebby offense. And I say that because I'm an Oklahoma fan, so I kind of get that one. So that's not what it's going to be like. He should be able to kind of just pick it up. Additionally, you would expect that Sean Lewis isn't going to throw the whole playbook at everybody, right? He's probably going to keep it in this first year pretty simple. Again, kind of like what we saw at Oklahoma this year. The offense was a very simple play calling, especially in the first 3 games when they didn't have to throw out the whole playbook. But regardless of that whole acquisition, Weaver to Colorado is just huge. Like I said, you're giving Sanders another offensive weapon. And when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, I'm not really worried about Colorado because, yeah, y'all just cleaned up in the transfer portal on that side. Really, I think if you're Colorado, the questions that you have are on the defensive side of the ball. So go ahead and let me know what y'all are thinking down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit the like and the subscribe button. Because listen, if you guys like great college football content like this, I am your resource. And hitting the like and the subscribe button, it's completely free to you guys, but it means the world to me.